Welcome to Carolina Sculpture Studio. My name's Clint Button, and I'm a granite sculptor. Welcome to video number 29 of the virtual stone carving apprenticeship. This is video number 2 in the compasses and triangle segment series, whatever, of these videos of the lesson. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you the basics on constructing the triangle and what happens with the way we use a triangle in this capacity. And I'm not a mathematician. I probably won't use the right geometry words on what you do and where it goes. You know, I can cut stone. Okay, that's what I do. So this is what I understand. When you have a model, you'll take a measurement and say, I want to make this coffee cup, you know, 83% bigger, because I want it to be an exact height, whatever that height is. So I've got to take that measurement, and then I've got my measurement, and I know what my big measurement is going to be. And so I'll use those two measurements to create my triangle, to build my triangle, to fabricate my triangle. And then, because I don't know what all the other dimensions and measurements are, and then I can take a smaller measurement and apply it to my triangle in the right way, capture it with this, with my job triangle, my caliper, and apply it to the job. So we're going to go through the basics of how to build your triangle in the first place. A big reason I'm doing this work and these videos is because of time. When you watch, everybody that's in the graveyard used to be somebody's little baby, and they're all dead. They grew up, they had dreams, they were young, they knew everything, they were going to be famous, they're going to be successful, they're going to be happy. Some did, some didn't, some were, some won't. They're all dead. Every one of them, they're all dead. And it's really sobering when you've got people that you've looked up to for everything you've done, and then they die, and they're gone. And everything they know that they didn't teach you is done. You can't ask them another question. And so, talking with my mother and her brother, my uncle, that like what I'm doing in terms of the stone, because it's keeping alive what their father did. Grampy wasn't a sculptor, he was a finisher, but he cut stone his whole life. We cut stone, that's what he did. And my cousin Andy still cuts stone right there in Barry, just like all these other members of my family have over the years. And I don't want this to disappear. Gary trained me, Gary Sassy, Andy Hebert, Angelo Ambrosini, he died last year, you know, a year ago, just over a year ago, I guess. You know, Phil's dead, Henry, all these people, they're gone, and they're done. And so they wanted me to make sure that I did well with what I learned from them. That's why they told me things. So I took this little piece of paper and I sketched out to explain this process to my 81-year-old mother that has been, you know, she's 81, she's not a kid anymore. And this little piece of paper helped her understand everything I'm going to do. I'll put this up on the screen. So I'm going to explain that to y'all the same way. But first we're going to talk about how to construct a triangle. So I'm going to move the camera over here and try to get it right on the page, and we'll talk about it. And then there's some different ways of doing your triangle, different ways to make it happen. And then we'll look at what works best for you, because the way I was taught isn't necessarily the easiest way to do it, and I've been able to study other people and can do it a little better now. A couple of caveats. I'm going to use big fat Sharpie markers that are still fairly sharp. Hopefully they're not out of ink. The accuracy of your work with this, with the triangle and with the compasses, has a lot to do with how small, how fine your points are, and how thin and sharp your lines are. because if it's a vague line, if it's big and fat, it's going to be inaccurate. Okay, you want it to be really sharp and really fine. That's one of the nice things about when they show some of the, when they show stuff of this with the Italians over in Italy doing it, and they take a face of marble and they scratch a line in it because you got a really super fine line. I don't have a big thing of marble. I'm going to show you how we do it here in South Carolina and how they do it in Barry. But let's set the camera up, see if we can get this underway and show you how basic triangles can be assembled and what they mean. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, right now we're going to start these triangles, and we're not going to get into specific dimensions, models, or anything. We're just going to construct some triangles so you can see what I do. And one way may work better for you. I don't know. Okay? Now, when I was learning how to do this, I was taught to draw an isosceles triangle by drawing a pair of parallel lines centered with you have a center point, and then you draw parallel lines equidistant apart, so that this point is in the middle, and then you swing your calipers in order to mark your lines in order to build a triangle. And it works, but it's a little fiddly. And we're going to pretend that I drilled this hole exactly in the center, okay? And we're going to swing and we're going to pretend that's exactly between these two parallel lines. And maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. I don't care right now. Just stretch your head and listen. Okay? Now we're going to put our triangle together. We're going to pretend that this is a measurement off of the model, and that this width is the measurement on the job that we want to produce. Okay? So let's just say that's going to be it, so they're not the same. So we start at our center point, and we mark a line, and we mark a line. Okay? Now we take our Sharpie. There's our base. There's one side. There's the other side. Okay? We've got a triangle. Model, job. Okay? You can also take the same measurement, the same job measurement, model measurement, okay? We're going to put this right here. We're going to make our point at our center point. We're just going to swing an arc, okay? And then we're going to figure out however long this is, same dimension, okay? And we're going to put this on our circle and make what's called a chord that crosses the circle in two places. Okay, so we've got our original point. We got a point right here and a point right here. Okay? And we're going to draw a line, draw a line, and draw a line. Okay, we've just constructed the same circle. This was probably a lot easier, okay? We could also construct a triangle by starting at our origin and marking a line. Marking another point. This would be a line segment, okay? And then we go from this one, we come up here and we strike an arc. Okay? We take our job dimension, start at the same origin point, and we strike a line. So now we've got a point here, a point here, and a point here. Model, job. And I know this is upside down. Just listen for right now. Okay? Remember, model, model. And let's draw our triangle. Okay. 1, 2, 3 ways to draw the same triangle. How you end up drawing your triangle, constructing your triangle, can just be a matter of aesthetics. I like this angle to be at the top because that's what I learned. It doesn't matter. We're going to work from either this point or this point. Okay? So, and depending on the relationship of where this is, the length of this side versus the length of that side, that's going to have a lot to do. It's going to have everything to do with what you can do with this angle on these triangles. And on this one, it has to do with this angle. And so some people call this the isosceles method. Some people call this the right triangle method because it's more like a right triangle. Once you capture this, it doesn't matter if you may not know what the biggest dimension on that statue or that job is. This angle is the important part. You can carry this on as far as you want. So even if you only have one small dimension that you want to enlarge to a certain point and the rest of it's going to be a bigger dimension, then you just do whatever you want to do. Once you get this, you can carry these lines out to infinity if you need to. Okay, you understand that part of it? All right, great. Let's turn the page and talk about some proofs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the circle method because I think it's the easiest one to explain these proofs. Okay? We got our original point. We got our circle, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to have the triangle be, in this case, we're going to have the base be the same length. It's going to be an equilateral. It's going to be this same length. So we're just going to put this on this circle, mark our points, and draw our triangle. Okay? Model, job. Equilateral triangle. The model and the job are the same size. That's a proof. That means that if we take a measurement from the model, say this is it. See if this caliper, this is sweeter. We're going to measure, this is the model measurement. Okay? Because this is 1-to-1, we're going to put this in that apex angle. We're going to mark our line and mark our line. We're going to make 2 strikes, just like we did here. Then we're going to take another caliper and we're going to capture that dimension, that new calculated dimension. Okay? And because it's the same dimension, that original caliper will do it. because I didn't have to move it at all. That's perfect. Okay, what happens if we have a model dimension, same thing, but the job value, there is no job, it's 0. Okay, all we have to do is put one little point right there, because this baseline is 0. There's our triangle, because the sides are this length, and the bottom is 0. The base is 0. Model, job. Make sense? All right. What happens if we have the same dimension and we're going to make the job exactly twice as big? What's the value of the base of this triangle? It's 2 times this, right? So we've got 1, 2. And so if we draw that perfectly straight, and of course this is, I promise, is perfectly straight. What happens is your base, you have 1/2 is a side. Your side is here. It's equivalent if these are superimposed. The top is the model. The top is the model. This is the apex origin. And then this whole thing here in the bottom is the job. So that's a factor of 2. So that means we don't need to draw a triangle if we're doing a whole number like 2. In fact, this is as big as you can draw this type of triangle. Because if I had this same dimension and I was doubling it, I could just start at, I could put it here in the center, mark it, and mark it. And it would be twice as long. It would be the same as going from here to here. Okay, does that make sense? All right, let's look at another way of doing this if our triangle is larger than 2 times. Remember how we did this one? We walked it and then we swung it, and then this, we're going to take this isosceles triangle and we're going to change it. So the other method, if your magnification, your number that you're making it larger or smaller, say it's, I don't know, you're going to multiply it from 2 to to 5.3. Who knows? Who cares? It's more than a whole number or a whole factor. So we're going to start with our center. We're going to mark our 1, and because this is the job, this is the model, we're going to multiply it times 2. All right, we've got 2, and then we're going to swing it. Okay? And let's just say, I don't know what the number is. Let's just say this is our value that we know is the 5.3 or whatever. It's more than 2 times. Okay, we go back to our apex and we strike our line. Now we've got a point, and a point. So we draw our triangle. And so anytime we wanted to take a measurement to enlarge on this triangle, for that job, we would take and we would go our 1, 2, and then we'd strike it on our job line, and then we could have grab another triangle, another caliper, and expand it to that measurement. And that's our enlargement. This is so powerful and this is so elegant. Okay? Now, by this example, do a little bit more. If our model we got our same measurement, okay? Say our job is going to be smaller than the original. So then we got our smaller measurement, we got our apex, and we find our chord. We draw our line. So this will reduce a model this will make it smaller. And the proof for that, 1, 2, 3. These are all proofs. This shows that your function is accurate and correct. This shows that your function is accurate and correct because this value is 0. So any value you calculate here will be 0. And this factor shows that your value is a factor of 2 because anything you put on here, you will strike and it will walk out and be exactly 2. This gives you a value, and any whole number, if you do any whole number factor, 3, 1, 2, 3. And usually we'll put a straight edge on there and we'll just walk down the straight edge, have a corner or something so we know where to sink it. You always put a nail that's drilled a little bit for your center point. This will reduce a job. What if you wanted to make the job bigger? We're going to start with the same measurement, the same circle. We're going to make it bigger, but by a factor less than 2. Okay, so let's see, let's just say it's going to be just arbitrarily going to be that long because we know that's less than 2. All right, we're going to put this on here and mark our chord. And then we're going to take our straight edge and mark our triangle. And you'll end up having a wide triangle with a bigger angle. Model, job. And I'll put this on the screen at the end so you can see this. But we're going to run out of time here on making this video. But this is how a triangle works. Okay, this is how simple it is. This is a proof. This will make your triangle, whatever measurement you take on the model, will expand here and be the job. Whatever measurement you hear, and they will be the same, they'll be equal. This one, there is no job, so these two lines, there is no base dimension, so it comes together and it's 0. So anything you put on here, you calculate, the width will be 0. This is twice as big where the triangle actually collapsed. This comes down until the top is right there and it's right along this flat line. So from right here to right here is a triangle effectively, except the top angle is 180 degrees. If the job is going to be a reduction, this is from 0 to 100% because this will expand until it's the same size. This is the most powerful triangle of all of them. And we'll talk about that later because this one measures from nothing to infinity, to 100%. I mean, from 0 to 100%. So if you reverse these dimensions, and then you go up your triangle and find it by putting the model here and the job on these sides, it'll do anything. And I mean, it'll calculate any number you want. It'll be less precise because you'll be going up. You've got to have a fixture to make it work. This is the Powerball right here. If your job is going to be an enlargement, like what we're going to do, we're going to enlarge this angel, this model, and we're going to make it bigger. We're going to have a model like this. If your factor is greater than 2, larger than this, then this is how you construct that triangle. This triangle will work for all of these if you're not going more than 2 times. This will also produce the same triangle as the other jobs, because you'll have one leg that's the same and the second leg will just be turned up like I showed you, and it'll be a different way to construct an isosceles triangle. But this is how you do triangles, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put this up on the screen. All these graphics, we'll scan them in and leave them on the screen for a minute so y'all can stretch your heads until this fits inside, and we'll come back and we'll actually construct the triangle that we're going to use for the angel in the next video. So, my name's Clint Button here at Carolina Sculpture Studio, talking about triangles and compasses and how you manipulate one dimension to apply it somewhere else, such as in the reduction and the enlargement, reproduction of one job into another. Thanks for coming in.